Hello everyone, so I will be doing my December wrap-up. For the month of December, I read 4 books, so let's get started. The first book I read for the month of December was The Near Witch by Victoria Schwab. This is a young adult fantasy novel about a young girl named Lexi who sees a boy at night and then he vanishes like smoke. The whole town of Near is talking about this boy the next day because he's a stranger and there has never been a stranger in the town of Near before. Soon a child goes missing and they all blame this stranger. But Lexi doesn't believe this and she teams up with him to find out what really happened to the missing children because she believes it has to do with the old town tales of the Near Witch. I gave this a 2-star rating. I believe that this is Victoria Schwab's first novel, or at least one of them, and it really shows. I'm a big fan of Victoria Schwab and this wasn't her best work. She has definitely improved on being a writer and a storyteller. I just feel like the story wasn't fleshed out enough. I also feel the romance was too rushed. It's kind of like an insta love, but the first time they've met, it wasn't like they wasn't in love. It didn't like click. But then like after the next time, it was like they were in love. If you like Victoria Schwab, I wouldn't recommend this book. It isn't her best work and it was disappointing for me. I mean, overall, I didn't hate this book, but there are many more better fantasy books out there, especially by Victoria Schwab. So the next 3 books I read was the books that my boyfriend picked out for me. And the first one is Nausea by Jean-Paul Sartre. This is an existential fiction novel about Anton Ro-Quinton, who is a French writer who becomes horrified at his own existence. He catalogs his every feeling and sensation about the world and people around him. This book wasn't for me. I didn't rate it because I didn't think it's a bad book, but I didn't want to rate it just because it wasn't for me. So I didn't want to bias someone else's opinion by my low rating. This book is only like 100 pages long, but it took me weeks to finish this. I just dreaded picking it up. There were a few things that I did agree with Ro-Quinton. He said like there is no meaning to life, and I agree with that. There is meaning between the person itself. It's whatever you give your life meaning to, but in the grand scheme of things, like why we're put on this earth, I don't think there's like a higher purpose. But sometimes he just went way too far with that notion. Like he didn't care about anything and he just went on and on about how horrible everything was. He just got very annoying, the main character. I think I will probably give this book a second try later on, or maybe a different sort of book a chance. I will have to do more research on existentialism and Sartre because I don't think I was prepared for this book. I didn't go into reading this book with a good mindset, so I was already like dreading reading this, and that's not a good feeling to do because I will just feel like that through the whole thing. So I kind of want to give this a second chance and really understand everything, and hopefully I will like it a lot better because right now I just didn't think it was for me. The third book I read was The Hangman Daughter by Oliver. I will put his last name on the screen because I cannot pronounce that. This is a historical fiction mystery novel set when the witchcraft mania has died down. Until a boy is found dead in a river, he was drowned, and he bears the witch's mark. The townspeople suspect the local midwife of witchcraft. They almost kill her, but the local hangsman saves her and they lock her up, and the hangsman is in charge of torturing her to get out this information, and he's apologizing the whole time and telling her not to confess because once you confess, that's it. The hangsman is convinced that she is innocent, so he teams up with the town's physician's son to try to find evidence to exonerate her and find out who is kidnapping and killing these children. I gave this a 3-star rating. I went in expecting something different. I thought it was more fantasy because it involves witchcraft, but there isn't any witchcraft or witches in this book. The townspeople just suspect it, but there's not actually any witches in it. It seems so scary to be living in this time period. Once you're accused of being a witch, that's it. There's no convincing otherwise, because then the townspeople are so scared and they make up rumors and they travel and the rumors travel and it's just no stopping it. And in this case, more children were being killed while she was in lockup, but they just believed that she summoned the devil to capture and kill these children, which makes no sense because why wouldn't she just summon the devil to get her out? But they're also scared, so they're not really thinking logically. The one thing I'm confused about is the name of this book. The Hangman's Daughter isn't an important character. She's in it for a little bit, but nothing of substance that I would think the book would be named that, so that was a little confusing. I'm thinking maybe she has a bigger part down the line in this series, but for now she doesn't have an important role. I really don't see myself continuing with this series. I think this is fine on its own. It didn't really leave in like a cliffhanger or anything. It was a fine book. I'm just not invested enough to go out and seek the other books. And the last book I read in the month of December was Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. This is a dystopian novel set in a futuristic world. The world is inhabited by genetically modified humans. Emotions and individuality are conditioned out of them as children. There are no lasting relationships because everyone belongs to everyone. And this new world revolves around efficiency and science. I gave this a 4-star rating. I thought this new world he created was very fascinating. The children are created in this artificial womb and nobody has any parents, so there's no attachment to anybody. And while you are children, your destiny is already set because there are 5 categories in which you are placed. So there are alphas who are the leaders, then there's the betas, the gammas, the deltas, and the epsilon. And each one is less intellectual than the previous one. So the top is the leaders and the bottom are designed for menial labor. There are some aspects of this new world that, I think could be implemented in this, but mostly it is a very scary world because everything is controlled and destined out. You are required to take pills called somas, which are designed to make you calmer because they don't want any unwanted emotions in the society. And if you don't conform to these rules, you do something wrong, there's a place you go called the Savage Reservations. For example, someone got pregnant, natural pregnancy, and so she was kicked out because that is unacceptable. And this place is more like our own because they have so many emotions, and you can be who you are and not be designed. What I really liked about this is that before I read this book, I was playing this video game called We Happy Few, and in it you take some pills called Joy, and it makes you calmer and only see the beauty of that world. And you have all these rules, so if you do something weird, people banish you or actually kill you for it, and they send you away to this place called the Downer Town. So when I was reading this book, I was like, oh my god, that video game is based off of this. And it just made this reading experience more enjoyable. So I really enjoyed reading this because of that. You might think, oh, this new world is so good. But then if you look deeper into it, your free will is taken away and everything is designed. And so it's not as great as you think it is. So I highly recommend this book. So those are all the books I read in the month of December. So like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Bye!